Hello all, today we'll be looking at ilwmaor's game, who's an 1100 player. We'll be looking at where he went wrong and how can we fix it. So let's dive in. So ilwmaor plays black and the opponent plays white. So white start with e4 and black play the Sicilian defense. Okay, so this is all theory. They develop the knight and the bishop, and then black castle, and then white also castled. Okay. And so black decided to play pawn to e6, which I personally don't like because it blocked this white square bishop from developing. Well, doesn't have to develop here, but it loses the scope of this lovely open diagonal. What I personally prefer is to finish development with bishop to d7, connecting the rook, and then one day the rook can actually go to c8, and if the opponent decides to chase some pawn, then this rook is best positioned to control the c file. I guess the computer also like e5 because it allows this open diagonal for this bishop, and the bishop can always go to here or here. I guess black decided to play e6 because maybe he's worried about the knight from coming in. So guarding this square and maybe one day to break open the center. But I wouldn't try to break open the center too early because your queen is not developed, and if the rook ever swing over here onto the d file, you actually have attack on your queen, and there's lots of knight and bishop flying around, like your queen is just not safe. So I will try to keep it close for now and just finish development. This kind of idea. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Oops, let me see. Okay. So, yep. Black pushes pawn to e6. And then white develop his dark square bishop. So he has now finished development. And now black push a pawn. Not a bad move, but I still want to see the white square bishop being developed. And now white decided to move his queen to c1, creating a queen bishop battery, and maybe go over here or here. Personally, I don't like the opponent moving the queen here. I think it's better to go here because it still does the same thing, with the small exception of these rooks are now connected. Yeah, I just think it's just more accurate that way. Anyhow, main line. And black decided to break open the center. Like I said, probably not a good idea. Computer recommend b7 because you want to connect the rook yourself. And maybe one day, like, bishop go here, queen go here, put the rook on here, d file, then you break open the center, and now the rook have a open file to play with. The queen in the center, then break open. Don't recommend it. Okay, so let's continue. And so white decided to take, and black took back with the pawn, ready to fork the bishop and the knight. And so now white decided to put his bishop on g5, pinning the knight to the queen. And then black decided to develop his queen. Personally, I don't like this move. It's because queen to the center generally leads to bad thing happening in the opening and the middle game. Opponent have a number of idea to push the queen around. For one thing, their bishop can actually go to f4, attacking the queen, and now the queen cannot go to the dark squares. Going onto the e file is a dangerous idea because the rook might come in and you get attacked around. Going here is kind of undeveloping, and going here, you're just blocking your own bishop. So And there's also this idea of this knight going here, attacking the queen. Yeah, that's not a good idea to put the queen here. And like I was saying, like if this bishop go to f4 and the queen, let's say, move to d8, I'll just play out. Then this bishop is actually much better position compared to it was on e3 because it controls this lovely, dark square diagonal. And if you ever get attacked, it can always move to h2 and it's becoming like a safe sniper bishop. Very hard to attack and it can attack you. But yeah, anyway, let's continue from the main line. So queen go to d6. Sorry. Okay, and the opponent decide to move his knight to b5, attacking the queen. And now the queen moved back, blocking the bishop. And now white play this move, pawn to d4. Not sure what it does. Okay, and then black decide to develop a rook into the center, attacking this bishop. Again, this white square bishop really need development. Here is a good idea. If this bishop is not here, this is probably even better because it has more scope on the open diagonal. Okay, main line. White decide to develop his rook. And now black pushed the knight around. And then white retreated. And so black took a pawn. And so because white is attacked, they moved their knight to b1, undeveloping. Personally, I don't like this move. A better move would be knight to a2 because it keeps the rook connected, the queen is connected, and the knight can always go back to b4, offer a trade-off knight, and if the black knight took, white can take back with the pawn, and moving his pawn toward the center make this pawn more powerful. Okay, so let's go back. So this is the main line. And so black decided to put his knight on an outpost, attacking this bishop. And then white decided to develop his bishop to d3. Yeah, personally, this is a issue with the knight. So I wouldn't go for any attack for white side if there's no threat. Yeah, and even if the white bishop take our knight, it will just help black undouble the pawn. And as the center open up, the bishop pair is actually more valuable than the knight. So this is why computer is suggesting black to take the bishop, because we're having a open position now. Okay, let's continue. And so black decided to put his queen onto f5, letting it get pinned by the opponent's bishop. I recommend not to add fuel to the fire, and instead, like what the computer say, get the bishop pair. Alternatively, develop a bishop connecting the rook. And if this knight ever move away, take, and you control the open file with the rook. Okay, let's go back. Main line. Okay. Queen developed to f5. Opponent helping us by taking the knight. And so we have 2 pawns in the center, undoubled, and more space for the bishop. The knight was attacked, so the opponent moved it to h4, attacking our queen. And then now our queen go to d5. Now, because a number of pieces have been traded off and we have such strong control over the center, the queen being here is no longer as as bad. So it's probably okay now. Okay, so opponent push the pawn onto f3. This is not a good move, and as you can see, the elo bar doesn't like it as well, and that's because having the pawn away from the king make the king less safe. So if this is actually good, opponent shouldn't touch it and should worry about other weaknesses that he has, which is rooks are not connected, knight is not developed, this bishop is being attacked. They should try to solve those problems first. But nope, they add more problem by weakening his queen. It's like weakening his king. And so black decided to push a pawn to e3, blocking the queen defense to the bishop. Okay, and so white decided to push some random pawn, and then black took the free bishop. And then now white took the pawn in the center, and then black took a free knight. And then white decided to take a pawn, offering a trade of rook. When you're down material, you shouldn't trade. You should try to keep as much material as possible. Maybe a better idea is to develop the knight, connect the rook, and go for some kind of counter attack. Okay, let's continue. So this is main line. Take, take, take. Then black bishop take the pawn on d4, pinning the queen to the king. I think it's a pawn, yeah. And so, yeah, white took back, and black took the queen. And now that black have so much material, the opponent decided to resign. So, to summarize the game, ilwmaor generally plays his game pretty well. He developed most of his pieces and controlled the center. He is able to see tactic, as you can see in this position right here. He's able to block out the defender so that the queen cannot defend the bishop. Furthermore, there was also a time when he had double pawn on the board. That's generally okay because the double pawn is very strongly defended by the knight and it's not easy to be attacked. And these double pawns are very strong because they control a lot of squares. So this is one of those exceptions to the game. So things that he can improve on include developing his white square bishop. For the entire game, he has not developed his white square bishop. By developing the white square bishop, his rook is able to connect and protect each other and swing to the center and go for more center control. Another thing that ilwmaor could improve on is not developing his queen to the center so early, because as you can see in the center, there's a lot of knight and bishop and pawns controlling the center, and so there's a lot of things that will push the queen around. The rook will eventually come over to the center most of the time, and so if the queen doesn't have a long-term safe square to go to, then breaking open the center is an inaccuracy. So it's best to look at things that you can actually do, like for example, develop the bishop, swing the rook over, maybe put the queen onto c7 or e7, but somewhere where the queen can be safe before you open up the center and go for the attack. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next one. See you.